everybody, and welcome to another Adventures in Truth livecast. My name is Jim Case. I'm the host of the show. Very happy to be here tonight, and I'm happy that you're here with us. Today, we're going to have a tremendous show. I'm very excited about. The incredible Cyndi Dale is back to help bring some energetic clarity and some support to the Pyramid of Wellness, a process that I presented about 6 months or a year ago. Thought this collaboration would be powerful because I think it'll bring a lot of focus to not only understanding the pyramid, but how the energy within it is so affecting and so powerful. So we're going to have a great conversation. We're going to do some, I'm going to do some short stuff here in the front end, so we have all the time to talk about through this and go through this Pyramid of Wellness process. What else? Thank you for being here. And if you're watching on E360 TV, thank you for being a part of the network. Thank you for watching on the network. It's a great network. Glad to be here. Facebook Live, if you go over to Adventures in Truth Facebook page, you can interact with us live on the show. You can type in your questions or comments. We'll do our best to integrate them into the flow of the show. You can see us on YouTube Live, and you can see on my website at adventuresintruth.com. We're live there as well. So I'm glad that you're here. Make sure wherever you are watching or participating, like and share. Let people know we're here. If you're out on Facebook land and you see this live video, don't be afraid to share it. Send it out onto your newsfeed. Let people know we're here and share this powerful show today. I think I don't have anything else to say at this point, but I will be right back after this. Be right back. My brain's a little off today. I get to bring myself back into the show. Oh, how funny. Fear is a Choice book, guys. www.fearisachoicebook.com. Please check out the book. Powerful book that will change your relationship with fear. And that's the whole basis of pretty much everything I do, is how do we change the relationship with fear so that we access more of the potential and opportunity that's available to the magnificence of all that we are. I'm going to keep this short today, as I said, because we have a lot to talk about in the context of the program. So check out the book, www.fearisachoicebook.com. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the other side of the break. All right, the year of conscious creation is almost over. I have to come up with a new moniker for 2022 because the year of conscious creation is this year 2021, and it's been magnificent. I can't thank you enough for all of you who continue to participate. This movement is very powerful because it doesn't end. I don't know what it's going to morph into as we move into the new year. I'm sure I'll be inspired to expanding it or growing it in a different way. But I want to acknowledge all of you who have participated in My World is Good, who have continued to bring that energy forward. We are seeing tremendous change in the world. Some of it good, some of it not so good. But ultimately, I think if we stay focused in the goodness, we will continue to move the bar forward. We will continue to create that tipping point where the things that have driven us in the past no longer need to drive us anymore. So My World is Good, very simple. 10 times when you wake in the morning, 10 times at the end of your day, and then use it throughout the day to maintain that alignment whenever you need to. My World is Good allows you and sets you up. It's a neutral positive statement. And with 7.5 billion worlds inhabiting this planet, we want to be able to create the change that we see needs to happen. And part of that is building a better energy. Part of that is building a better energy within our world so that we can move that better energy out into the community of the world. So my world is good. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for joining it, and continue to carry it on everywhere you go, because it will continue to change your life. Thank you, guys. We'll be right back with Cyndi Dale. Be right back. All right, all right, all right. We are ready to begin. I'm excited about this. We're going to talk about the Pyramid of Wellness, and I'm excited to have Cyndi back on the show with us. Energy master, author of like 700 books. And I know I'm exaggerating, but she's an amazing person, and I'm thrilled that she's here with us today. Let's say hi to Cyndi once again. Hello, Miss Cyndi.
700 books. I'm Methuselah. My best-selling book will therefore be How to Not Age.
That's exactly right. Look at that. You've written 700 books, and look at how amazing you look. That's incredible. I want your secret. I want your secret for how you got all that information out in 700 books. That's amazing. No. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for being here.
Book written over and over again. That's what it is.
That's it. You just changed some words, rearranged the paragraph. Yeah, I got it. It makes sense, because it's so funny that you say that, but that's really what perspective is all about. It's all about how people perceive things. So if they don't see it in one way, maybe they see it a different way. And really, in delivering a message in the end, who cares how it gets delivered? Let's just deliver it. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk Pyramid of Wellness. So first and foremost, we are energy. Let's experience that. So my thought about this collaboration today was, I had this Pyramid of Wellness construct, and I wanted to bring Cyndi in to help infuse this thing with some deeper understanding energetically, and some clarity about how to apply the energy in a different way. And I just thought that would be awesome, because she's an expert at what she does, and I love the intuitive play that we have together, and I think it's going to be an extraordinary show. So thank you all for being here to be a part of it, and I'm excited to dive in. Ready to dive in?
I am ready to dive in. I think we all are.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so format-wise today, we're changing a little bit, because we'll take a break midway, but I want to leave the time for this process, because it's a little extensive, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time to do that. So I'm going to start by, let's talk about a little bit about the construct of the Pyramid of Wellness. I'm going to put up a diagram here. So the Pyramid of Wellness was actually born from, let me start back here a second. So this Pyramid of Wellness was born from a concept that I had about how do we build wellness based on what we do all the time, based on things that occur in our life every single day. And when I started to think into that, it started to really flow very naturally, because the first thing we do the most of every day is breathe. And I thought, this is amazing. So we start at breath, and we start to build our way up. But the idea that breath is foundational has been something that's been important to me from the get-go. And then being able to build this paradigm in a way that is relatable to everyone, because it's stuff we all do. It's not stuff you have to suddenly concoct an idea for. You don't have to try to get to somewhere you've never been. These are things that you live in every single day. And the big difference between wellness and the idea of maybe not wellness is consciousness or unconsciousness. And so it's not about bad, right, wrong. It's all about choices in consciousness or choices in unconsciousness. So I'll bring back this diagram here and see if we can't make some sense of this. So the left side of the pyramid there is what I would call the conscious experience. We start with the basis of breath. We build up into the mind. So mind becomes the connection that occurs with our higher self through the connection of breath. Mind becomes universal mind. And then we go from the mind into integrating and rejuvenating. If you look at the unconscious side of the pyramid and see the differences, so we're typically, most of us human beings are very cognizant of this experience. Our breath is unconscious. We don't think about it much. It's an automatic process. So why do we need to pay attention to it? Well, what happens is that because we're unconscious of that process, we're not focusing our energy. We're not learning how to harness our energy. So what we end up doing is step 2, which is the hows and the willpower. So we learn how to force. We've been trained how to drive things. We've been trained how to grind things. And so we go from not paying attention to the breath, not having a connection to our energy, to, oh, the way that I have to do this is I have to decide how everything has to be, and then I have to force that to happen through willpower. And then, as opposed to the period of integration and rejuvenation that happens as a result of that conscious process, we go to sleep. And sleep becomes an avoidance of things that we don't enjoy. Sleep becomes a way of getting away from the life of unconsciousness that is not supporting the growth that we had hoped it would. Or maybe we didn't even think it would. Maybe we weren't even paying attention to that. And then moving on the positive side or on the conscious side, again, we go into creating. In the unconscious side, we go into working. And this is a powerful distinction to me, because if you think about how our lives are structured and how the human experience has brought us to be in all of our lives because of the entrainment process that we've gone through since day one, working becomes important. Not so much that the work means anything, not so much that the work has any value, but that it pays the bills, that it makes me money, regardless of how I feel about it. It makes me money, I can buy a car and I can have a house. And so now there isn't really any satisfaction there. There's just, oh, okay, I'm achieving, my means are achieving an end. So I'm filling my life with things that don't matter or unimportant to me. And I'm continuing to do that in an unconscious fashion because that's what I think I'm supposed to do. And then from creating, instead of working, we go from creating to manifesting, because we are ultimately creators. And so everything we think and feel and do and believe, consciously or unconsciously, we are creating. But in the unconscious realm, that creation becomes consumption, because we begin to, in the unhappiness of the unconsciousness, in the willpower, in the forcing of, we go to that consuming place. We go to alcohol, we go to drugs, we go to things that make us feel better in the moment. And again, this is not a statement about alcohol or drugs or any other things that we use to distract ourselves. It's just acknowledging that it's there and what it is. So here's where the kicker is with this unconscious process, is that once you're in this process, once you reach that level of consuming and you've kind of lived this cycle of living, it goes back to the bottom and starts again. So that loop just sort of feeds on itself, where when you go from manifest or creating into manifesting, now you're moving into connecting, because you're seeing all of the connections that take place in the process of manifesting, in the process of creating. You embrace all of that creation. And that connects you to even greater things, into your higher self and greater energy in the universe and all of that good stuff. So just a quick, easy kind of peasy kind of experience. And then you can see there that from connecting, we go to self-care, and then we go into transforming. And the interesting part about that is that in the unconscious pattern, you don't get to those upper levels of experience, because there is no consciousness of energy. There's no consciousness of, how am I using my energy? How am I producing my energy? What am I creating with my energy, and how am I using it? So that's why those three end up being really challenging places to get to, because if you're unconscious in any of it, you're going to struggle to be a part of it. So, in 5 minutes or less. So, Cyndi, I know you've listened to this and you've watched this a little bit. What's your thoughts about the core construct of this pyramid of wellness idea?
Well, I think it's brilliant, first of all, because like as we approach it from an energetic perspective, we grow energy if we're being conscious. We lose energy on the unconscious side. That's basically what happens.
Oh,
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
all about, are we going to expand our energy? Are we going to allow others to support our energy? Are we going to bring in beautiful, wonderful, spiritual, invisible, natural sources of energy? Are we just going to kind of keep burning our own up? Because if all we're going to do, which we do on the unconscious side, is burn our own, up, we're going to get burned out. That's the end result.
And that's pretty universal and very consistent. I think that all we have to do is look around, look at our parents. I mean, for crying out loud. You don't have to even go that far back, but look at the generation that was grind city, and we were all entrained into that grind city.
Yeah. But, energy is information that moves. That's all it is. It's information or data that tells something to be what it is, or tells something it can be something different. And every particle or wave, there's really no particles, they're all waves of energy, vibrates, which determines if your coffee's hot or cold, and who wants to drink well, some people drink iced coffee. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
But, but if you don't know what the formulas are, say, even in your
Mm,
breathing, who knows what you're, kind of like putting out in the world or breathing in. For instance,
yeah.
99.99% of all of us is subtle energy. It's the
Hmm.
invisible stuff. It's the psychic stuff. So if you're just kind of unconsciously breathing, you probably aren't really breathing very deeply at all anyway.
Right.
Right? You're probably breathing in other people's feelings, other people's thoughts, recycling your old thoughts, those 80% of the thoughts that are unconscious and negative, and
Yeah.
you're just living by those. I worked today with a young man who very miserable, a lot of stomach problems, gets out of school, has to go home, feels really bad about himself all the time. And, I related to him really well because I can swear equally well as he can, which helps.
Amen, sister. High five over here. Yeah.
But I talked about what was happening inside of him, that when he screwed up, I said, what you're doing is automatically telling yourself you're a screw up.
Yeah.
So how do we interrupt that? Because he's breathing in unconsciously everybody else's negative thoughts that are probably about themselves, which is
Hmm.
feeding, kind of like, you know, kind of his sense of himself. That's just really sad.
Yeah. Truly. I'm glad you brought that example because I have a client that I am currently working with who, when she first started, um, which was, I think, 6 weeks ago, um, was struggling, wasn't sleeping, was having really, had some very key issues with work, has some key issues with relationship, just not in a good place, not feeling good about herself, feeling a lot of nasty and unpleasant things. And I decided part of the program that I do is teaching a practice of active breathing, and engaging a state shifting exercise to help people shift state through breath. It's a very simple process, but it's a very effective process. And within 2 weeks of the beginning of that process, I decided at the beginning, because of the intensity that she was living in, I gave her usually I don't give the exercise doesn't show up until the fourth or fifth week, because you want to give people time to settle into the process. But I felt strongly with her to go ahead and do that, and she has been religious at least twice a day, if not more, that she's doing the exercise. It takes her 3 minutes at a time to do it. But the differences are astronomical. She's sleeping through the night. She's feeling good about who she is again. She's still struggling with some of the work stuff, but that's confidence issues. And those are also changeable, but she's not in this despair state, where prior to us getting together, she wasn't really connected to her breath at all. And so I love that you brought that up because it really is that profound. So let's start, since we're talking about breath. Let's bring this up again. Let's dive into this a little more deeply. So here's my concept of breath, and I talk about this on the show all the time, guys. So this isn't new. Breath to me is foundational, which is why it's the basis of this pyramid. But more importantly, it's because it's the thing we do the most of. Um, Breath is life force. Breath is chi. Breath is prana. Breath is every breath you take is a creation of energy. Is a what's the word I want? It is well, it's connecting, but it's
It's like alchemy, isn't it?
yes, very much so. I think
Uh-huh.
in that uh, it it has such a profound effect on everything we do. And I mean, as I move through my day, if I find myself not breathing, I have to stop and go, whoa, how come you stopped breathing? And I know I didn't stop breathing. I'd be dead if I did, but I was not aware of my breath. And I went, okay, something's up for me. Let's breathe and let this energy flow and then see what shows up. And invariably, every single time, whatever it was or is shows up in a heartbeat, because now I'm not in any state of resistance. I'm just in breath, and I'm in this place of bringing in this vital life energy to create the next moment. In my viewpoint, the breath is taking me every moment into the new moment with new energy. So that's sort of where I see it in the context of what the conscious viewpoint is versus the unconscious viewpoint. So on the unconscious side, for me, that is a like you were talking about. It's not having an awareness of how you breathe. It's not recognizing how deeply you breathe, if you breathe deeply at all, where the breath is in your chest when you breathe. Do you even breathe into your chest? Like, where do you breathe and how do you breathe? The unconscious part of that doesn't pay any attention to those details. The conscious breath, as you do more breathing, it becomes a wonderfully fascinating process because it has such a powerful impact that you can readily experience.
I
So,
totally agree. I think that's fantastic. And on the conscious side, in Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic, and any number of other languages, the
mhm.
words for breath and spirit are one and the same.
See, I learn something new every day.
Isn't that cool? So just knowing that your breath is more meaningful than you've allowed it to be before. So
Yeah.
I'm breathing in my spirit, the spirit, and those pause points. And I know you work with this, Jim, at the top and the bottom, we can make new decisions. We breathe and then we
Oh,
rest and we go, am I going to bring in a different energy than I did before or the same energy? So we can constantly redecide with every breath too.
with every breath, and that's really powerful, and that takes us um, really nicely into the discussion about the mind and versus the how and the willpower. So here you are in conscious breath, and in conscious breath you're consciously taking in new energy, new life force, new expanding idea. And what that does, why I call it a state shifting process, is because it does shift state. It takes you out of that unconscious place into a conscious place, and then through the conscious place you begin to connect vertically. You can, I say vertically, but you connect to greater mind, you connect to higher mind. It doesn't mean that your mind is gone, but you're open to inspiration, you're open to and connected with all of at least as much of your potential as is available to you. Where in the unconscious side, when you go into the hows and the willpower, it's like taking the blinders and going "Boof." And when I say "Boof," I mean you're taking a picture that could be wide open and you're narrowing that field, you're dumbing down the experience so that you can grapple with the things you don't like or understand, but you can force your way through them in hopes of getting to something else. What you ultimately really desire is the connection to the greater mind that happens in the conscious process. But if you haven't been conscious about it, then you don't recognize that that is what's actually taking place.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant distinction. And when I think of that willpower, that to me is classic physics with energy, like energy in, energy out. You know,
Mm,
you want to move a hay bale, you got to have, the same weight worth of energy to push it or pick it up as it is. That's exhausting. And when you're working with mind, you pointed this out, we're talking about greater mind. One way that physicists talk about it is they distinguish between local mind, like brain, and
mhm.
non-local mind. Non-local
Ooh,
mind is collective. It's like everything that's ever been known or could be known. Wow, think about the vast intelligence available to us. And I
mhm.
actually think that the brain upshifts. There's a very interesting
Yeah.
study by an institute called the Blue Brain Institute. And they say that mathematically, the brain fires in every one of the known 11 dimensions simultaneously. But
Wow.
what makes it do that? What makes us able to get into fifth dimension, 10th dimension, first dimension, a point? I think you've got to be connected to the non local mind. I
Yeah.
think you've got to come at it with this, I'm letting spirit breathe me into myself and I'm connecting with something bigger, much less stressful
Yeah.
than the other way.
And the thing is that this is none of this gets in the way of anything that you may have in the way of a belief system about religion, spirituality, any of it. It does not in any way conflict with any of that. What it does is even in these first two steps, it connects you in a way that I think most religions would love you to feel connected. That doesn't happen the way that the construct of religion has set it up. And again, I'm not bashing anything. It's just the reality of what my experience has been, that they don't you're not given the space to explore that in a way that makes you understand the connection. And that those people who manage to make the connection in that religious construct have found a way to make that connection through whatever way they're doing it. And for people that I've met, actually breath is a part of that. They've in their own way have found a way to integrate that kind of experience. And so their connection is very alive and very real. And they may need more support in expanding a viewpoint or expanding what they're experiencing, but it's available to everybody, and it is not in any way conflicting with whatever your core belief system is. It will help to change it, because as you experience that connection to greater mind, and as you begin to realize the incredibleness of all that you are, you kind of got to go, wow, okay, I've been underselling myself for a long time. You know, it's time to expand. It's time to grow. And whether you want Buddha with you or Jesus with you or Shiva with you or whoever you want with you, it's all good. Those energies are tremendous energies. Those energies are wonderfully uplifting energies, particularly when you're conscious of them. So,
which should be the point, right? Otherwise, in a box, and we might feel safe in a box, but we're not going to thrive in a box.
Exactly. No thriving happening in a box. So cool. So now, next level up the line of things that we do all the time. The next part of that is sleeping. And for me, this was an interesting one, because we all sleep. We all have to sleep. We all have to get that. But the difference is how we approach it. And for me, when you're in a conscious place and you've been using your breath, you are tapping into the rhythms of your body and the rhythms of your energy, and you're allowing for this restful time as a time of integration and taking in and integrating. Excuse me, integrating the experiences of the day, the energy of the day, and allowing yourself to kind of get out of the way, so that the personality then can kind of rest to the side while the rest of the energy is doing its thing, and it's cycling, and it's doing whatever it's doing. And hopefully you can speak more to that, because I'm not giving very scientific words.
But no. I think you're doing great, because you did a fantastic job when you first talked about the unconscious side of the pyramid, and talked about how sleeping is sort of like an escape. But we should be excited to sleep because of who we're going to become while we're sleeping. So for instance, when we're doing all levels of sleep, we've got to go through at least 2, some people say 4 levels of delta. There's a really slow brain wave underneath delta called infralow, and it holds our stress. And if we come into sleep through the mind, through non-local mind, interconnection, we can have dreams that actually alleviate our long-held or short-term trauma. We can have, I believe we have beings show up, kind of sometimes in our dreams to say, here's the way, here's what you're working through, here's the tool that you need. And the body actually really does rejuvenate. My youngest son is an athlete, and he has this device. They have a device for everything. I don't know. He's buying me a device for Christmas, because he's concerned. He goes, Mom, you need to do blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to buy you a device that's going to tell you more of the blah, blah, blah that you have to do. So his sleeping device will tell him if he got deep sleep, rejuvenating sleep, or surface sleep. Because if you exercise and you just get surface sleep, like you willpower your way through, right? Which you have to do if you have to exercise a lot, anyway. I mean, come on, it's not that fun.
True.
Right, but it'll tell you if you actually, kind of rebuilt your muscles or not. So, he approaches sleep, he approaches his workouts, he approaches his profession of baseball, which is really his profession, not his MBA that he's working on. All of that is breath, bigger mind. How am I approaching everything? What's my attitude? Am I rejuvenating? Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be who you are, no matter what your calling is, you got to be on that conscious side.
I'm reminded, for those of you out there watching and listening, there are many people who in the public sphere who live in this space. If you think about professional athletes, the ones at the top of their game, this is where they live. They don't live in beat myself to death, kill myself, grind. They don't live there. If you look at those people, if you look in their eyes, if you look at their, it doesn't mean they don't have challenges and issues and things they work through, but they take it to a different place. They take it to a very conscious place so that they can move through it, so they can understand it better, so they can see and don't be in any way fooled to think that the doctors and the science that's used to keep those $1 million players on the field isn't way more leaning to this than it is to anything else.
It
Because
is this.
people that have that stuff know this stuff works. This stuff, and I don't mean works like, it's a good band-aid. I mean, this stuff is what moves your life and moves the needle of your life.
It's the key. Gabe fell off of the conscious pyramid last year for months. He got COVID in his back, stuck in it, changed his mechanics. He couldn't pitch. He went all the way into his deep subconscious, unconscious, got to force myself, feel bad about myself. Now he used it to birth himself again, to say what's in that unconsciousness. What do I really want to hold in my mind? How do I do this rest? How am I creating my world as I go? There's a world of difference between who he's becoming now, at an even higher level than before he kind of fell off the mound, if
Isn't
you
that
will.
breathtaking? It's just so
breathtaking.
cool.
But you know what? Sometimes we go through those cycles. We go, oh my gosh, I'm way up on the top of this cool pyramid, and I got to fall because there's something for me to, kind of bring up from the depths too.
Yeah, I was watching an amazing football game last night. The Chiefs and the Chargers were playing last night, and there was a moment that blew my mind because I love Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of the Chiefs. I think he's dynamic and amazing, but he fell off the pyramid for the first half of the season. And last night, 1 minute to go in the game, he drives down the field, they score the winning touchdown, he wins the game, and they flash to Patrick going, "I'm back!" And it was like my heart just sang, because while somebody may interpret that as pure ego, I saw a guy who has been struggling his ass off, who finally got back on the pyramid and went, "Yes, this is me. This is what I do," and it was magical and it was beautiful and it was incredible. I don't know that anybody will have that perspective but me, but that's okay, because it's so interesting that we're doing this show and I got to see that moment. And that was my response in that moment was, good on you, brother. It's good to see you're back. Whatever derailed you, it's okay.
I saw it. I watched my son on that dark side of the pyramid. And, what he did, though, is he kept surfacing what was unconscious. Like, okay, this is what comes up from second grade, or this is my issue with my mother. This is my issue with my father. There's times that you're really kind of on the conscious pyramid, but you feel like you're in the unconscious one.
Yeah.
Right?
True. Yes, true that. And honestly, the only thing that keeps that in balance is the breath. It's the thing that is if you go back to the breath, it will always move you where you need to go. And it may not look like you're going in the right direction, but that's because, like you said, there's stuff that is shifting and changing in your consciousness because you are wanting to become conscious. That's the great thing about, I laugh about this a lot, but being conscious it's a process of being conscious. It's not a one and done. It's not I was conscious today, so I'm good. It's about growing in consciousness and awareness. Are there times that it's awkward and uncomfortable? Absolutely. But because you're in a space of that conscious creation, you give yourself more room, but you also, to me anyway, it's an interesting juxtaposition, because it's almost like you're in a split reality for a minute, because you realize you're doing the work you need to do, but you feel like you're somewhere else, but you can be in those places simultaneously and still maintain your consciousness. And then eventually it comes together.
That's so tough. I was working with some people with particular challenges today, and one young woman, she kept, doing soul retrieval, going here to get this part of her, here to this part of her. And after all this time, I said, but you're already in you. You're in you, your will to live, yourself, you're in yourself. She goes, no, I'm out here. I can't get it. I go, you're in yourself already, but she can't get it yet. It's kind of what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
I am here. I am conscious. I do have bigger connections. I can be creative. But you can identify, with that other, it's sort of like, but I'm losing my will to live, or,
Mm,
I really can't just do this anymore. It's a tough place to be in for people too, Jim.
yeah, definitely. I hear that. All right. So where are we? We have gone now. We've talked about sleeping, and now we're moving from on the conscious side. So we've integrated and rejuvenated. And as we come back into our conscious life, we begin the process of creation, or we step into it. So we come from a place of what am I going to create today? What am I going to create? What do I want to create for myself? As opposed to the unconscious side, which is, oh, okay, I've got to go do the grind now. I got to go work so I can make my money. I got to go work so I can go be somebody someday. I got to go work for somebody else to tell me how to be and tell me what to do and tell me how to do it and pay my bills, and that's all fine and good, and then I can have my beers, and then I can, and again, I'm saying it kind of sing-songy, and I'm, please don't understand that I'm not trying to sound at all judgmental about this. This is all informational. We've all experienced both sides of this pyramid. We've all lived in both sides of this pyramid. Our desire, and my desire in this show and in my work, is that this pyramid enables us to find an easy way to transition into that conscious behavior without it being a thing. I can go, oh, I can just start by focusing on my breath. Well, there's like a bazillion places you can go to get support for that. Even if you don't, you can still sit on your couch and breathe into a count of 4 and breathe out to a count of 6. I mean, there's so many easy ways to do that. So please understand that this is not a judgment about, it's information, because we want to make sure that you all understand there is a very distinct difference between unconscious life and conscious life. And that difference is very palpable. And so going from creating or work, going from creating to working. So now it's not about taking all that you're experiencing and having that become part of your creation. It's about, again, dumbing down who you are in order to fulfill a role so that you can continue to do what you think you're supposed to do, which may not be what you really want to do.
Yeah, and working, we're back to that formula, energy in, energy out. But somewhere in here, when we're working and it's not creative, we're going to lose energy. It's going to be energy in, less energy out, which leads to the consuming we'll talk about in a minute,
Yeah.
right? Because you're
Yes.
just forcing, you're pushing, and nothing much is coming back. Creating is, it's sort of like numbers. To me, it's the number 3. You take 1 plus 1, right? And
Mhm.
you could just add up to 2,
Right.
but the truth is, that it when you put one thing together with one thing and you get 2, you automatically, kind of start creating more than what you started with. So that's what the Trinity is all about.
Yeah.
It's like you're putting something in and you're getting more out. That's the creative energy. That's what you're really working with there.
Like that distinction a lot, and it makes a lot of sense to be thinking in terms of energy in, energy out, because it's a great way. It's a very practical way. I call it energy up, energy down for me in a different context. Um, Energy in, energy out is a very similar experience in that we get to be conscious of what's the flow, what's happening here, and again, bear in mind there's always places where things may feel a little out of balance here and there, but that's not. And when I say out of balance, I mean where the in, the out may not be as where you want it to be, but that could be in part because of how you're approaching it. And as you get more conscious, it becomes the ease there begins to flow more regularly. I think.
And it is about
Um,
that consciousness. For instance, when I was growing up, I loved doing the dishes every holiday. Nobody liked it. Well, first of all, it was a way of avoiding the arguments that were
right.
at the table. I
Yes.
think that was particularly clever of me, you
Yeah.
know, but I would make up games. I go, oh, here's the spoon, here's the fork. They're talking about this, and I still do that. So to me, doing the dishes is a creative endeavor because of perspective, because of how I'm approaching it. So I
Yeah.
think, it is about perspective. It's about being light of heart, certainly taking things seriously that need to be taken seriously. But if you're creative, there's spirit there with you. You can breathe in and bring it into a situation. Again, no matter your religion or your approach, or if you're agnostic or just nature based, there's always something more than who you are that you can bring
Yeah.
into the situation.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Where are we at?
We're going
Oh,
back to manifesting and consuming.
we are. All right. Manifesting and consuming. So up on the conscious side again, here you are in the space of creation. So you've generated the breath. You've created this connection to universal mind. You've expanded yourself. You've allowed yourself to open to the experiences that you allow to integrate, and your energy becomes even more as you are resting. And then you come out of that state ready to create, ready to engage your life and engage the world in ways that maybe you never thought about before. But it's also a place of powerful inspiration. And from that place of creation, then the next natural thing that's happening is manifesting. It is, I have generated all of this amazing energy and I'm focusing that energy. And now that energy is manifesting in my physical reality as whatever it may be, a relationship, an amazing work that you get to do, an incredible meal, a wonderful walk through the mountains. It doesn't matter what. Manifesting becomes a conscious manifestation that to me is amazing because it's not only you creating the reality, but you're creating a feedback loop when you do that. That you're experiencing the depth of your connection, and you're experiencing the depth of all the connectedness that exists on this planet and in this universe in a way that's different. And I know that sounds grand and magnanimous and all that kind of stuff, but it's very real. And it's not so overwhelming that you're like, I don't know if I can deal with this. It's expanding according to your field. You are taking an opening to these experiences, so you get them in portions that you can digest and that you can relish and that you can cry over and that your heart can sing about. Where on the other side, you've gone from hammer, 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 grind, grind, grind to God, I hate my life. I need a joint. Or 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 I'm just not happy in my world or my relationship. I need a drink. And again, I'm not saying having a joint or having a drink is completely unconscious behavior or bad. It's just what happens on the unconscious side that I think is part of that unfortunate loop that it's unconscious, so it just sort of spin cycles on itself. So that's kind of how I see that one.
And it's exhausting. And
Oh yeah, and that too.
coming from creating, to manifesting, I'm edging it up a little bit to connecting, but it's not all on us. That's the cool part. Like I'm thinking of two really, really normal examples, kind of that outgrew from manifesting, kind of with both of one, with both of my sons. So this summer I had a dream that I needed to get my youngest son who wouldn't want their mother to dream this, a red Tacoma pickup. Pretty darn cool, right?
Mhm.
But it was in the summer. Like that's manifesting, but it's also connecting. I got a dream about that. And so that's
Mhm.
what we ended up getting. And he was like, no, 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 we'll wait until I'm home for holiday break. Well, there aren't any Toyotas available right now. But
Yeah.
you can't get them. They're not out there. He never would have gotten this primo deal if there wasn't that sense of, wow, we can be creative, we're manifesting, there's connections that are helping. Reverse story on that. I went to visit my oldest son over Thanksgiving and his partner. And I have this ability to get them exactly what they need without them
Mm.
asking for it. I'm pretty good at it. Like, I think they need a blender. Oh, mom, how did you know we needed a blender? They won't even tell me what they need because they have so much fun and have for years, waiting to see what mother sends them. So, but the story is funny because every year there's a group of families, including theirs, I send Kansas steaks to during the holidays. Well, I was like, well, I can't send them steaks. I'm not sending them steaks. And we're all in a group text, and I knew that their feelings were really hurt the week before Thanksgiving. They never got steaks. Everybody else got steaks. And I'm like, well, I don't know how I can tell them why I didn't get them steaks. I just wasn't supposed to get them steaks. So I come out Thanksgiving that Monday. My son picks me up and he goes, did you know our refrigerator was going to die yesterday? And that's why you didn't get the steaks? Isn't that a hoot?
And the answer is no, but I trust my connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I
of
love
course,
those
I got them a new mini refrigerator freezer to last them until the 4 weeks went by. They could fix the big one. So they still got manifesting out of me. But
I think I remember seeing that actually.
yeah, it was on my Facebook.
Yes, I remember that.
That's the rest of the story. Is they didn't.
What a great story.
So they got the refrigerator. You're in flow.
That's incredible.
The flow. You're talking about flow, Jim.
And the flow is, and that's really what's critical here, because what happens next, and you segued it beautifully, is that it's hard to separate sometimes when you get into the manifesting and then in the connecting, because they're so interrelated, because your connection is all about what's creating it's this sort of fountain of wonderfulness, and it allows you to tap into things that you don't have necessarily any business knowing, but there it is. It happens for me on the regular, like you, where I'm inspired to something, I follow through with it, and that's really the key to it on the conscious side, is to stay connected to those moments, so that you, regardless of what your mind thinks about it, when it's right in the heart, when it's right, when it's aligned, when it's connected, it's not an option in my world to not act or to not step in. It's not an option, because everything I've learned to this point is that every time I step in, every time, it always goes to places that I could have never imagined, could have not dreamed up. And I don't mean that in some big crazy way. I mean in the little things, like Cyndi was talking about. I had a situation just a couple days ago about a birthday card for someone who is a relatively new friend who I care very much about, and we have great fun together. And I went to get a card because we're going for a group dinner. And I was like, okay, I have to get this card. And I don't really know enough about what she really digs, but I just stood in front of the cards and just tapped into my energy and her energy and the group energy. And I just took a deep breath and said, okay, let's see. And 5 minutes later, I found what I thought was the perfect card. And when I brought it to her friends to sign, or our other friends to sign, who've known her longer than I have, every one of them to a person went bonkers over the card. And then when she got the card, she was just over the moon, like this was the greatest thing ever. And I know it sounds silly, but it's such a deeply satisfying experience to just travel that route. It seems like it's insignificant, but the reality is it's everything. It's crazy. So where we go here. So now we're going to talk about what happens in the unconscious world. So now that you've gone into this idea of consuming, in the consumption process, so the consumption process is going to dumb down somewhat. It's going to dumb down the experience. It's going to try to soften the uncomfortableness, but then you're going right back down to the base of the pyramid and you're going through the process again. So I'm not paying attention. I'm going to push myself through what I got to get to. Oh, thank God I can go to sleep for a while and forget about this. Okay, got to go to work. Okay, I'm done work. Now I need a drink. How many of you know people? How many of you have lived that cycle? How many of you are still living that cycle? We encourage you to shift over to the conscious side of the cycle. But if you're finding it satisfying, if you're finding it satisfying, I guess, keep going until it isn't anymore. But so moving that needle, getting away from, or not getting away from, but shifting to that conscious place and moving into that realm of consciousness where manifesting becomes about connection, and you continue to see this spiral of energy that's just carrying you forward, to me is remarkable and something that everyone should experience.
Yeah, it's true. And it's so ironic, and this amazing model that you've put together to show all of us that connection leads to self-care. You would think it would mainly lead to service, which it does, right? Because that's
Hmm.
part of connection is service, but it's
Hmm.
also self-service. I know the more I focus on doing my breathing, what's my attitude, how am I seeing things, am I meeting the world with trust, am I meeting myself with trust, the firmer my boundaries. Like they're like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this, or bless you, but that's not for me, or I have a vacation coming up.
Yes.
You end up loving yourself more, and the world will, who you can't control how other people are going to treat you, but you're more apt to draw people to you, I believe, that will treat you well, like
Yeah.
in a loving way
Yeah.
too.
Well, and then because there's this, I think that's they see you, whether they understand it or not. They see what your life is. They see the joy you carry. They see the continuous flow that happens, and that's the thing for me that every show for me is about. That is if you take nothing from what I say, feel me, just feel me, because every minute I'm on this show, I'm just beaming because I love doing this, because I love connecting, because I love all of that side of the pyramid. And I want that experience for every human being I can reach. And I know you have a very similar focus in that direction. But it's one of those things where, um, yeah, I mean, it's all about the feeling. When you encounter clarity, when you encounter truth, when you encounter consciousness. You also know when you're being unconscious. And once you know, you can't unknow. So why not take a walk on the wild side and see what that exploration. It's a very different place to live. I don't deny that at all. But when you build your life in that way, I live a very full life. I have a wonderful home. I have a wonderful husband. I have a wonderful group of friends. I live in a wonderful place, and all of that has been because I've chosen to navigate my life in a conscious way. I make choices that scare the crap out of people, but it's okay because I know that where I'm going is powerful. And so I can stand in that clarity without any fluctuation because I know 100% I've worked on this. I know what's going to come is going to be, I may not know how it's going to come, and I don't care. That's going back to the base of the pyramid. I have no interest in how. I don't care how things happen. I care that they happen. I care that it shows up. I care that I show up. Not how do I show up? I am showing up. There's no how. It's just doing it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I've gone through dark, dark times, lots of issues, anorexia, bulimia, codependency. I mean, the laundry list would be like 28 different kind of insurance claims,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
My life, right? Well,
Yeah.
not an easy family system, and I was having dinner with a guy friend last night, and a lot of people in the spiritual community are like, oh, I just want to be done with this planet when I'm dead. And I'm like, I really like it here. I said, I like life. I really love this food, or I wouldn't eat
Mhm.
it. I'm really enjoying my life. And some of the perspective I have is having been in very dark times where one thing I did always do is fight to become more conscious. I didn't know what I was doing. I got help. I needed people pointing things out. I remember when I kind of baked bread for 6 months when I started therapy, and I ate all the bread too, which was really stupid. But you know, I was depressed, but I just kept crying. I just baked bread and cried. So that's consciousness too.
Yeah.
If you're lifting to the skies, life gets good. Like I love life, period.
Yes.
No holds
Period.
barred.
I love that you talked about it's one of my pet peeves, is people who talk about being somewhere other than here. I'm like, do you have any idea the miracle that it is that you're here? Where do you get, anyway, we don't need to go there.
Agree.
Just
Agree.
love the miracle.
Agree.
Love the miracle because it is extraordinary. So let's still got a few minutes left here. So we did dive into now up on the positive, on the conscious side. So we went from connecting and talking about self care, and I love the way you describe it because really that is all of self care. Self care is is service. It is service to self and service to the world and service to everyone around you. But understanding that that service is not servitude. It is being in conscious awareness of the relationships that you have and how do you uplift them? How do you continue to uplift them? How do you support them? And maybe you're looking at a situation that doesn't look very uplifted. That's why you're there, to bring the energy of that upliftment. That's service. Don't delude the idea of service by making it be something of servitude, or I'm being of service because I'm subjugating myself in some way. No, you're not. Sorry to say. Service is about the organic expression of you seeing a need, seeing a desire, seeing a place that you can uplift, and applying the amazing energy that you have to that thing so that you uplift it in a different way than it was uplifted before. That's my personal viewpoint. I would love to hear yours.
I'm just gonna learn from you on this one. I think, okay, this is my turn to go, wow, service, not servitude. There, that just says it all. I think that's my attitude, but I didn't have a really, kind of nicely packed phrase that explains it, because that unconsciousness, the consuming, the working to consuming and back and forth again, that is servitude. I
Yeah,
mean, you're in servitude, you're enslaved to that job so you can buy the pot or whatever it is, right?
whatever. Yeah.
Keep you doing what you don't like doing. That makes no sense.
And so as we get and once you're at this part of the pyramid, you have been, to my world, you have been creating this beautiful spiral of your energy, this beautiful movement of energy through your entire world, and you've expanded your viewpoint, your field, your availability. See, this is one of the things for me that I think is a really critical understanding about consciousness. As you increase your vibration, as you, at what I call increasing your vibration, as you continue to become more conscious, each level, and level is not the right word, but I'm using it because I don't know another one right now. But each level creates an opportunity, opens you to opportunity and potential that was previously unavailable to you because it's vibrational, right? It's humming along. And if your vibration is humming down here and what you want is humming up here, there's a gap. That gap is consciousness, maybe, potentially. And as you increase in consciousness, as you expand that realm of understanding, those energies then create new potential and opportunity because you're available to it. When you're unconscious, it's like trying to suck energy through a straw. You're not opening to flow, you're not opening to that transformation. And that, to me, is where transformation happens, is that in that service, in that place of self-care that has been born of your conscious behavior to grow your own energy field, to understand it, to connect to it, transformation happens because you have availed yourself to energies that you didn't even know existed prior to coming to that place. What do you think?
Amen. And now we're actually at the title of your show, Adventures in Truth. Now, let me draw it back to you. All right. Because I was just sitting here reflecting and going, I'm transforming my backyard. I'm adding a baseball facility. I don't pitch, my son does, but I love working with athletes. But people like look at, this intuitive healer, like that is like a weird thing to put on your house, is a baseball facility. Now, I can't tell you exactly why. It's a little field of dreams. I don't even know who will come, kind of when it's actually built. But it's an adventure. I'm having so much fun. Like, what's it going to look like? The dogs would vote against it. They have been quite
Right.
upset. I mean, they're like, there go lucky steps. And then we put in new steps that he won't come up because there's a mound of dirt and there's a hole and there's machines, right? But it's that adventure, because this is what is supposed to happen for some reason. So you just punt. I mean, in the end, it's an adventure.
Yeah.
I now have to let him back in the house when he goes out to go to the bathroom in the back. I have to go to the front of the yard and call him to run all the way around the yard.
Oh,
Which
how
he's
funny.
happy, but he's perfectly happy to do that. He's like, well, this is fun.
Yeah. We haven't done this adventure before.
Right. So it's an adventure. It really is like that
Yeah.
transformative adventure, because you don't quite know what's around the corner, but it's going to be good, or it'll come around the corner to you too.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, my dear. We are, oh my goodness, we are done. Huh. We made it top to bottom.
Woo!
Excellent. Um, Cyndi, you're always spectacular. I love you. I appreciate you. And I thank you so much for being here. Another wonderful show. Looking forward to all of you out there who haven't gotten to see it yet. You will. But thank you for being there. If I don't see you, I probably won't talk to you. But if we do, have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and New Year's. And
You too, and
hopefully I'll
everybody else too.
see you next year. Holy crap. Already. Can you
Well,
believe it?
I'm good for
And
it.
it's all big 22s. It's all twos. Yay.
I'll choose partnering.
Thank you so much. We'll see you all again very soon. Thank you for being a part of Adventures in Truth, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Adventures in Truth Livecast. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to learn more about Jim's book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, check it out at www.fearisachoicebook.com. Also check out Moments of Truth, a new offering from Adventures in Truth. If you'd like to work with Jim, check out www.thesciencetransformation.com to book a session. Tune in live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and every Friday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Or look for our new releases and podcasts every Monday. Until next time, be well, and we'll see you again on Adventures in Truth Livecast.